sit around and watch the success of other musicians doing things that I knew I was capable of doing. I used to see them doing these gigs and see them doing that, and it kind of stopped me. I was saying, how are they doing this? You know, how are these doing this gig? And I used to pause for a while and stop playing, or I kind of used to find, well, he's doing this now, so there'd be no room for someone else doing it. But there was a time when I just stopped focusing on other people. What I'm doing, I'm happy with, and I've had some great experiences, and that's down to just focusing on what I do and not worrying about what other people are doing, you know.
Hi all, welcome back to the episode of Getting Amongst It. I'm here with Ciaran Moran. Ciaran, say hello.
Hello, how are you?
Brilliant. And Ciaran, let's go back to first when you start learning how to play music. So where did it actually all start for you?
I was 9. I learned guitar from my uncle. My uncle Tomo passed away after teaching me, only for 3 or 4 months, you know. But all my family are musical. All my uncles and my mother sing. My brother's a singer.
Did they play all types of music instruments?
Yeah, well, my uncles are all guitarists and singers, and my brother was a big influence to me when I was younger. You know, he would have basically, when I would have been about 9, I always wanted to play guitar from him. He was playing in a band at the time years ago. He was in a successful Irish band.
Yeah.
And yeah, I learned from my uncle when I was 9. Then I kind of led into learning how to songwrite and things like that.
And what songs did you first learn when you were playing guitar?
I think the first song I learned was a song called Country Roads.
Oh yeah,
the cover
this the
song.
one that's on now,
Yeah,
the remake.
not the latest one, you know.
Not the latest.
Yeah, I learned that when I think I started learning that when I was a kid. You know, it was 4 chords. It was easy to learn, and that was I think that was the first song I ever tried learning on the guitar. My uncle taught me that, and
you loved it from there.
Yeah, I always said I used to say to my uncle Tom, he was the type of guy that was he was just a great character of a person, you know. His character was really, he was just one of these people that everyone was attracted to, and he had an attractive personality. And I always said to him, I'd love to go out and play songs with you. And when he used to go out to Bray, and he'd just sit on the we'll say the beach or on the grass out in Bray and just play a few tunes. And,
really?
And I always said I'd love to do it with him, but unfortunately he passed away a couple of months after that. And I just kept going, then continued on.
I was still quite young at that age.
Yeah,
but it stuck with you though.
9 and into 10 I would have been. I think I got my first guitar when I was on my birthday. I think, if I'm right, I can't really remember. It was so long ago.
Yeah, I remember my first guitar. I think my man picked it up from Argos.
Yeah,
it was the biggest ball of scrap ever. Like, but you know what? It was
the strings to be like shoelaces on when you first get it, you know.
But that actually leads me on to my next question. Then, so who actually inspired you to make music, and would you counter it all down to Tom?
I think my brother would have been the first one. He was when I was younger than 9. I would have been seeing my brother Keith. He was in an Irish band called No Angels. He was the lead singer of an Irish band called No Angels, and there was times when I seen him on TV, like the Late Late Show and things like that. And he used to have this red. I never forget. He had a red, cherry red Fender in the room guitar, and I always used to go by it and kind of put my fingers. Could never play, but I put my fingers just through the strings, and for some, I thought at the time that looks cool to do or something. I don't know what my mindset was at the time, but when I look back on it now, that was cool to do in a sense for me, to see him doing that. And he was playing, like they were doing well at the time. They had a big single out in the Irish charts and things like that. And I used to go to his gigs, some of his gigs, like the festivals and things like that. Only when I was a kid, the family festivals or whatever. And I think that's what might making me want to do it, you know.
There was like a click there, kind of going, I want to do this.
Something that was interesting to me, you know. I could say I looked up to this person and musicians and that, but I can't remember what I looked up to at that time music wise. Yeah. That's one thing I do remember. That's the reason why I wanted to play years ago, you know.
So that at that time, when your uncle was teaching you for those couple of months, and then your brother, did he take over, or was it something that you just?
I think my brother was always there, you know. Yeah. When I started learning at the age of 9, even when I was getting the lessons off my uncle, I'd go home and I'd show my brother what I learned today, and he would have been busy at the time, so he wouldn't have the time to put all his focus in on the guitar lesson. So and my uncle taught my brother, and he taught all the family that play. So at the time, I think my brother used to, when I do a guitar lesson, I'd kind of come home, and whenever he's home, I'd see him and I'd say, look, this is what I learned today. And if it's a case that we'll say I learned a new song or something like that, he'd kind of pick up on it, and he'd learn me new things. So yeah, but when I stopped learning from my uncle, he didn't take on as a guitar teacher, but he just kind of led me in the right direction and gave me the advice and he kept continuing playing the music with me, you know.
Do you think did when you're saying that he led you on, did he steer you in the right music for you? Or kind of like, okay, I want Ciaran to go this direction because what's out there. At that time, I would imagine there was good music out there.
Yeah.
And I can only really compare it to today's music, which is pure muck. Yeah. But he had, that's just my opinion. Yeah, no. So people might tell me I'm wrong, but I think today's music is pure muck. But he had that choice where he was like, I can just let Ciaran sort his own music out, or he steered you in the right path to what music really is.
I don't think he ever, like, he never said go in this direction or go in that, but I kind of looked up to him, you know, and he listened to, back then I always remember the music I listened to from what he'd listened to. Like, he would have listened to Aslan, who I've been fan of since I'm a child, and the likings of Van Morrison and David Gray and Paul Young is a big one. Like, I was 16, 17 with my friends and in town in Dublin, and we'd be saying, like, they'd be talking about music they like and things like that, and you'd say, I like Paul Young or whatever, maybe, and they'd be like, what the fuck? You know, who's Paul Young, there? You know, yeah. But that kind of me, he never kind of put me in that, this is who to listen to. I just listened to what he listened to, and it worked out well because that was real music, you know. That was the good music, the good times and things like that. So, did you
ever ask him what it was like when he wrote music?
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, I think he kind of he had a way of writing songs that would have been very similar to the way I write, you know. He's a fantastic songwriter, in my opinion, and I think the songs years ago that he played, I think I might have gotten a little bit of it. Although I didn't, when I was started off songwriting, I didn't do it in a particular way. I was kind of taught, in a sense. I done different things for songwriting, little seminars and things like that, workshops and things like that. But I think now that I look back to it, I think the similarities are very, like, what he wrote about is similar to the same stuff I'd write about, and we'd have the same kind of vocabulary and things like that, you know. So yeah.
Very good. And so when did you, the question I kind of asked is that, like, did you always want to be a musician? Or was it the case just kind of like, I'm just really, were you more pushed towards, I'm just going to get a job and then continue the music on the path or in the spare time? Or was it kind of stage like, no, I'm really going to push for this? Yeah,
I think when I was 13, that's when I started songwriting. And when I was songwriting, I thought, when I started writing songs, I kind of realised there was more to music than being pop stars or whatever, you know. I probably realised that at a later date, but from songwriting, that's what got me there, you know. I never thought of it as I want to do this forever until about 3 or 4 years ago. I kind of started this journey, for the want of a better word, you know.
Yeah.
And with that, where I am at the minute, I would be I'd be thinking now it's something I want to do, you know. But back then I just wanted to be able to do it. It wasn't a case that I went down my way to say I want to play music. It was there, you know, and it was in the family, and you kind of didn't know anything other than that, you know. I was never interested. I stuck school, but I wasn't as interested.
Did you like school?
Not really. No,
I don't think no
one likes school. But I think the thing with my problem with school was we were learning about things that we weren't interested in. You know, you're kind of forced to learn history and geography learning about some stuff that I had no interest in whatsoever. Whereas if it was a music class, I'd put all my attention into it. You know,
yeah.
And English, I didn't mind English because you were learning the language to words and vocabulary and things like that. And, I stayed in school, and I did as I said, I didn't mind it because I stuck it, but it wasn't for me, you know. I didn't.
Wasn't your thing.
It's not really I wanted to do it, you know. When I was in school, I never said I want to stick this to do this. I just stuck it because everyone else stuck it, you know.
Everyone else was there, so you know.
Yeah. What else would you be doing?
There's no point mitching off school and being by yourself
on a Wednesday, you know, at 12 o'clock in the day.
Yeah. Brilliant. So, we know your first instrument was the guitar.
Yeah.
Did you fiddle around with anything else?
Few little bits, yeah. I just kind of from the guitar, you kind of learn a lot from the guitar. You know, you can play little bits of piano from notes and chords that you learn, the bass, things like that. Singing, other than guitar and singing, that's what I do now. You know, but I don't really play anything else live, whether it's, we'll say for argument's sake, if it's a piano, like I wouldn't play piano at a live gig or anything like that. But if you put one in front of me, I'd come up with something.
Give
it
a crack.
It might not be great, but
yeah, there was lads there that I know, mates of mine, who can actually when they're playing, listen to something on the radio, and they can have that ear for it.
Yeah,
they can pick it. Are you one of those as well?
Yeah, you kind of. I think that's melody. You know, if you can remember a melody, you can. Like if you give me a melody that if you sing a melody, I know I'll be able to play it because it's.
I'm terrible singer. I'm
very good.
I'm very good at singing in the car with the headphones on. So
well, with that, I think it's all melody. You know, with guitar and singing and wherever it is, if you listen to a song, you can sing it back. It's the same with the guitar, you know. If you hear a song, you can. It's just natural to be able to kind of play. Some people might not. Now, there's songs that you wouldn't be able to play exactly how it sounds, you know. But there'd be a lot of the general songs, the 4-chord songs, you know. Ed Sheeran would be one that you could probably.
He's a 4-chord man.
Yeah, quite well. He might be 5. He's phenomenal and he's doing great, but. His songs you could probably, like any of his songs you could listen to and you could probably play them all with the same chords, you know, most of them anyway, you know.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to transition from learning something as a guitar to creating your own? What stage did you get to where you're thinking, it was a year or two after learning guitar, thinking, I can actually start doing my own thing now?
Well, where I'm from, we had this youth club, it was called Brad Oak. And there was a guy called Ray Corcoran. His name is Sparky, and he brought me into this club. And Declan Keenan would have been another person in the DCM in Dublin City Centre. He had these like after school clubs, and you'd go, and it was kind of to you heard these people saying getting you off the streets, but that's what it was, you know. Not that when you were on the streets, you were doing that in bad, but.
Just out there doing nothing.
Yeah,
really,
it was great, you know. And when I went to Bradog, I know they had Ray Corcoran introduced me to a guy called Colin Querney, who was he's the head writing or the head of songwriting in BIM College now. But back then he had his own studio and things like that, and just a phenomenal musician. And they started me songwriting, you know. They got me to write my first song and that, and then through that U Club, I was invited to do a workshop with Christy Moore and Roddy Doyle's Fighting Words.
Yeah. Wow.
He had a project down there, Croke Park there. And after that, I just kind of, I just had a different, I from then, that's when I started writing songs, I knew, it was more interesting to me when I wrote songs, you know. I was never into covers before I wrote songs, I would have liked in covers and things like that, but now when you write a song, it's completely different to singing someone else's. You know, I couldn't imagine singing someone else. I've often sang covers, but
when you were first starting off.
Yeah, but I wouldn't go out of my way to write or sing a song from someone else. You know, it's a different experience. It's hard to explain, but when you're writing something and you're writing a song, it's
well, it's your own, isn't it?
Something you
and
create.
no one can. No matter what happens, it's yours.
You can't do it wrong.
Yeah,
you know, you can't make a mess of something that you created, you know.
Yeah,
and that's the big thing. You can sing something by Bob Marley and
get it wrong.
And you might not do it any justice, but with your own song, who knows? You know,
excellent stuff.
Unless it's released. And but yeah.
And so just then on that note, then what advice do you have for people who do want to start learning instruments? Where do you think they could? What's the best thing to focus on? Or even if someone who's writing their own songs and learning about it. Is it kind of like, would you say, not have a fear of writing or getting stuck into stuff?
Yeah, I think everyone has different styles of songwriting, you know. A lot of people would write stuff about. They might write songs about like the honest, raw kind of storytelling tracks, or some people might just write songs about things that I might not be interested in, or someone else might not be. But I think if you can write something down that is in your mind interesting, and that you find interesting in a sense, it doesn't matter what other people think at the time, you know.
Did you take long for you to get to that stage where you didn't care what other people thought? Or did you kind of be like...
I only got that about 2 years ago. I met with the guitarist out of Aslan, Joe Joel, and he spoke to me about... I said to him, I said, Joe, I'm writing these songs. We just met in a rehearsal room in Dublin one time, and I was telling him I'd love him to hear the songs just before I start doing shows with Aslan and that. We were meant to record a track, and I said to him, I have to try and find a way to start writing happier songs and more, because I find sometimes the crowd, it's like they're always sad songs. And he said the minute you write a song for somebody else is when you lose it. He says, keep doing what you're doing, you know. And from then on, I just write what comes to me, you know. I think if it's in your mind and you feel it's right, do it, you know. You don't have... And there's a lot of thing with believing yourself and not listen to it. Like, I find that I don't really listen to a lot of other musicians when I'm writing, or even now I don't, you know. Because I find when I start listening to other musicians, I start to sound like them, I start to write like them, you know. So I try to just focus on myself. And
that hard to do?
Not really. It used to be. I used to find... I used to push myself back. I used to sit around and watch the success of other musicians doing things that I knew I was capable of doing. And I used to see them doing these gigs and see them doing that, and it kind of stopped me. I'd be saying, how are they doing this? You know, how are these doing this gig? And well and good to them, their music was good and things like that, but it kind of... I used to pause for a while and stop playing, or I kind of used to find, well, he's doing this now, so there'd be no room for someone else doing it. But there was just a time, I don't know when it was, if I'm honest with you, but there was a time when I just stopped focusing on other people. And I know you hear all this shit of people saying, oh, well, just focus on yourself and things like that, but genuinely I just started looking at doing what I was doing. I stopped looking what other musicians were doing. I stopped looking what other people were doing with their stuff. And I think anyone that's doing it, well and good to them and respect them, but it doesn't benefit me watching what they're doing, and the same to them. They're probably not sitting around watching what I'm doing either, you know. So it's just focusing on myself. And again, I've heard people saying these things like believe in yourself and things like that, and I'd say that's all a lot of crap, you know.
But now you kind of
genuinely, I just started, and I'm not big or anything like that, but what I'm doing, I'm happy with, and I've had some great experiences, and that's down to just focusing on what I do and not worrying about what other people are doing, you know.
It's very good, like, it's because that's hard to, but you would have had these little events throughout, little stages of your progress that have got you to that level of thinking. So it wasn't like an overnight thing. It was it was meeting it was a songwriter and kind of having these open conversations and kind of going, I'm starting to learn that I have to focus more on me.
It's I always say one thing about what I've been doing is, with a lot of people are in these communities in the music industry, and it seems to be small because everyone kind of knows each other, but I wouldn't know many in it because I don't really get involved in the circles or the groups or wherever it may be.
Should you?
You probably should, but I wouldn't.
It's not your thing.
I wouldn't do it. I'm not. I do always say, like, you come across people and friends and things like that along the way, and you meet new people all the time. That's great, and I enjoy doing that. But I'm not doing it to make friends, you know. I'm doing it for the
love of the music.
Yeah, for that, and for people to hear what I'm creating and listen to. It's like someone reading a book, listen to my song. You know, you're listening to something that I wrote, and that's all I'm interested in a sense, you know.
One of my questions was, were your family supportive? And we know you were. They were. Anyone else you want to give a big shout out to?
There's a lot of people that have been.
This is very long.
Yeah.
Well, give me a few
no, it won't
anyway.
be too long. But there's a lot of people that would have been. Ray Corcoran would have been one, and Declan Keenan as well. Dean Scurry would have been another. There's a lot of people that they're kind of unsung heroes, you know. And they might not get as much praise or recognition, but without them, there's a lot of people in the area that I'm from, and Ballymun and Finglas and there's so many. I hate saying names in case I forget somebody, you know, but.
Well, they know who they are.
Them in particular, and anyone that like, there's a lot of people that would have from an early age given me abuse, and then my family, my mother and my father and my brothers and sister and my partner. Everyone's kind of supportive, you know, and you'll get people the more you're doing, the more like I'm doing this gig with this person. You'll get people that wouldn't have supported you if you
oh,
were
really?
there. That these things happen, you know.
These fuckers.
Like, you know, you kind of, if you're doing this gig and you're playing with nothing special with what I'm doing, but we'll say I was doing Vicar Street in December, and you'll have people that
opportunists.
They wouldn't message it 3 years ago and say, how are you keeping? Are you working? You know, but when you're doing okay, they'll and that comes with it. But are
you able to say that person at that time, say go back 3 years ago, and they had, I wouldn't say a little bit of influence with you, but you were very nice to that person, and then now that you're doing well, they've gone and they're mooching off the back of you, really. Let's call it what it is.
I think they like to be seen that they've something to you.
And they're only really using you to get to the next musician who might be a little bit more.
They might be. I don't know what their intention is.
But you block it straight away.
I don't really give a shit about it. You know, I thank anyone that support me, whether you were there 3 years ago or not. I'm just saying there is people that do that, but if they support me now, thank you. You know, and I appreciate that from anyone that goes out their way to like a post or comment something. I do genuinely appreciate it. There's people that say, oh, thanks to everyone who's done this and that. I think anyone going out their way to do anything, whether it's getting tickets for a gig, whether it's even sending you a message on Facebook saying well done, or a thumbs up or whatever it may be, they're going out their way to do that. Thank you. But I was just saying, you do get a lot of people that you wouldn't have maybe spoke to. You get new people as well, but there's people that do know you, and they might not have been as interested in you 2 or 3 years ago when you were doing an open mic to 6 people in Harcourt Street or wherever you're doing, you know. But yeah, it might be just they see potential in you, or they see something in you, or they might see the other art. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really think too much about that, but I do notice it. You know, I do see it.
Do you have anyone there to help you as you're growing and progressing? Do you have anyone there that you can offload this type of stuff for?
Yeah. I again, referring back to me, I'd go back to my brother with a lot of stuff. You know, he's very.
What's your brother's name?
Keith Moran is his name.
Good thing we got him out there.
Hi,
Keith.
He's very. He's very grounded. You know, when you're doing something right, he'll tell you you're doing it right, and when you're doing something wrong, he'd say, "Well, I probably wouldn't do it, but if you think it's right, do it." You know. And if I was having problems,
I learned from it.
Only the other night I was writing set lists out for a gig I have coming up, and I was saying I'm working with this and that throughout. What do you think about this? And he'd go through it, you know. He'd give you his time. But there's a lot of people, like one of the previous guests on your show, Jason Collins. He's given me a hand with a lot of stuff. Not a hand, just advice or wherever it may be. And there's loads of people that I can kind of offload to for. In a way, you know.
Jason is a fantastic person.
Yeah, he's a gentleman. He's he's a genuine. He's a genuine guy, you know. But again, there's a lot that would be in a position to help at any time, you know. And again, that's when you can contact someone, when you have the opportunity to contact someone and say, look, I'm kind of messed up here a little bit, or I need a hand with this or that.
What do you think? Or
yeah, have a listen to this song. What do you think? And the advice is great, you know. And if you did, I don't know what you do without that, but thank God
you have that. You have that circle. Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's go back to your first gig outside the house. Were you nervous, anxious, excited?
Yeah. I think the first
where was
gig. I think the first main gig I done was as it's going back to them youth clubs that I was in, you know. I got the opportunity to do a support slot with Damien Dempsey when I was 13. And
how'd that go?
It was, to me, it was good at the time. I went out, I was so nervous. I always had a fear of talking and speaking over a mic. And I remember when I went out and I had the guitar, I went out to the crowd, and I was only 13, and I'm small, so I wouldn't have been like an older looking kid or anything like that. So I went out and I sat on a stool and I sang a song, and people I can't remember if they clapped or not, but I'd assume
blur,
they might have clapped. But they at the time I didn't say. I just said. I don't think I even said thank you. I just went into the next song. I was so nervous, you know. But them kind of things are when you're doing something like that for your first little gig or whatever, you know.
Well, it's just this one, like at least it stuck with you.
Yeah,
you remember it. Do you remember it very well?
I do remember it. Yeah, and he do slag me. There's a guy, Sparky, that I do always. Anytime I'm talking to him, he just say, "Do you remember that gig?" And I remember, I think it was my confirmation or something a few months before. I can't remember dates or anything, but I had this short. I had this trousers and a waistcoat, and I said to me, "Man, I want to get a red shirt for some." I don't know why now. Now I wouldn't fucking. I don't know. I wouldn't wear it now.
Put that back on the rails.
Yeah. But yeah, at the time I had it, and I wore these black trousers, black shoes, and a red shirt. And I think I wore the waistcoat, but your man Sparky to say to me, "Do you ever remember that time you came out in your communion suit for the or your confirmation suit?" You know, and all the time he brings it up to me. But yeah, I do remember them gigs. They were great experiences, you know. There's not a lot of 13-year-olds that and there's some that do a lot more than that. But for me, that was it. That was something else, being able to do that, you know.
Do you think, even though obviously that gig went well, but do you think that having all that exposure of having a family of musicians and singers, and you were already a little bit ahead at that stage, or is it something that, like, no, at that stage that didn't even come into it, I was still just breaking myself being a 13?
Yeah, I don't think I ever took it in at the time. I think at the time when I was doing them, like, I looked at it as I was doing I remember in the school they had a poster. One of the teachers that was doing music would have he had a poster, and I remember them putting her up in the little we had like a little lobby-way, and I think it was only in first year or something at the time. No, it wouldn't have been. It would have been. Yeah, it was only after when I started school they put a little poster up that was supporting Damien Dempsey, and his fan base at the time wouldn't have been 13-year-olds in a school in Brunswick Street. You know, he might have been, but at that time that's when I kind of now I'd look at that and I'd say that's great. Like, if a poster.
Still have that poster, do you?
No, no,
shame.
I'd love to. I'd love to see that. But I kind of remember it. I can remember it in my head what it looked like. But at that time, I never thought to myself, "Oh, this is like." I just thought, like, I'm starting off. This is the way everyone's doing. You know, everyone starts off doing their gigs like this. You know, when they're 13 or 14.
Yeah,
or
well,
if
Damien Dempsey's going now. How many years is he going?
I'm not too sure.
It's over 10 anyway.
At the time, he was doing Whelan's main room, and it was sold out at the time. From what I remember, like, he had a big crowd at it, and that would have been what are we now? I'm 23 now, so would have been 10 years ago. So that was 2010, we'll say, you know.
He's a fantastic artist.
Unbelievable.
So what music did you cover when you first started? And then did it get to the point where you just wanted now just to create your own? So
yeah,
you said you were spoke a little bit off air, and you said you were in a couple of bands. And
yeah,
what type of music did you go for then, or was it just what was ever popular at the time?
I would have after about 13 or 14, for some reason, I think I was about when I was invited to do this thing, like a little a Eurovision. It was called Euro Jam, but it was like a Eurovision for youth clubs and things like that. And people came over from Berlin and loads of different countries in Europe and Sweden and things like that as well, and Spanish people and things like that were there. But from what I remember, I went to this thing and I met these lads down there. They were Dean Doonan and David Corr, who were in another youth club in Finglas, and I heard them playing songs, and I said, "Holy shit! Like, this is unbelievable.
This is
like,
good,
these are unbelievable. Like, these are something special. You know, they had a singer already, and they had a rapper in the group. It was, and I remember talking to Dean, and they had a guitarist in the band. And he couldn't make it for that weekend to do the Euro Jam. So I went out with me and the rapper guy Dean got on very well, and we just went on a little walk through the woods in the we were staying over for a weekend or something like that with all these not students, musicians, yeah. From different parts of the world. So we kind of took off and we got on very well at the time, and we still do to this day. But I remember saying to Dean was saying, "Oh, I like your songs and things like that," or something like that happening. I says, I love what you are doing. Like, I'd love to be in a band or something like that. And he just says, "Yeah, your man didn't turn up. If you want to be in the band, you can play with us on in the Axis in Ballymun for the big show." And I said, at the time I was saying, will I have to say it to your man if he turns up or that, you know? And at the time, just said, no, like he didn't phone up for this. And so we were only young, you know, we were still are, but we were only young at the time. There was no kind of thing with worrying about whatever. It was just everything happened. And when I went into that band, it changed my music. It changed my outlook on music. I was changing. I was starting to listen to hip hop music and more Irish artists and things like that. So covers and things like that, we would have done a couple of different things in that band. But we were mainly songwriting as well, you know. And from then on, that's when I stopped singing. I stopped singing from then up until about 3 years ago. I was playing another band after that, and I only kind of got back into singing. I lost a lot of confidence, not from the bands, but I hadn't got confidence because I wasn't singing. So when I was coming back out, I didn't know whether I was actually good enough, because I was never, not that I was never good enough to do it in them bands. Maybe I wasn't, but I was. They were already there, you know. The singer was already there, and in both groups I was in. So at that time I just kind of lost the love for it in a sense. So I stopped playing then after that. After them bands.
Yeah. But did you know you could sing at that stage, or?
No, I don't think I did.
Sung at that time?
No, I don't think I did.
You were just guitar.
I don't think I actually could. In fact, I don't think. I think I just kind of winged it in a sense. You know, I don't. And that's just being honest. You know, I could do harmonies fine and things like that. I was doing a couple of harmonies, but because I was in bands, I always felt like I knew I wasn't as good as this guy, or I wasn't as good as this person. So I just never really thought of it. And then this sounds mental, and you're gonna say, there's a lot of people that'll say these things, and you'll say, that's kind of bollocks, like, or whatever it may be.
Try me.
When I was in school, honest to God, I used to always have this thing when I'm about. It was a weird way of wording it, and it sounds a bit stupid, but when I was in school, I always used to say, I might not be able to sing now, but when I'm about 20 and I can talk like a man, I think I'd be able to sing then, you know. And it never, for some reason, I just always felt I wasn't good enough to sing up until I started doing this again, and I got back into doing music. And then only probably a couple of months ago, I was thinking to myself, I swear, like, genuinely, I said that in my head, and now I feel I have the confidence that I can go out and do it, you know.
And you just felt like at that time, it's like, I'm not ready, or I'm not prepared, or I'm not.
I
just naturally, I'm just not there yet.
I just did. I knew. Like, there was a lot of people that were saying, you were great and things like that, but I'd listen back to the recording and say, no, it's not really. And it might have been just my opinion, but. And even now, I listen back to some of my stuff, and I know my limits, and I know great singers, and I know people that I probably wouldn't stand a chance beside, you know. But again, I don't focus on it, you know. I'm only focused on what I'm doing now. And going back to that kind of feeling of, I just hadn't got it in me to say, try go out and do it, you know. And I don't know how it happened. There wasn't a case that someone ever said to me, you were shit, or you were doing this, or you were doing that, you know. It was just, I just didn't sing, and I just got out of it for some reason. I don't know, you know.
And so that's when you got to the point where it's like, I'm just going to start creating my own.
Yeah, again, I was always creating songs. I was always writing songs. I wouldn't put them out. But
so you have a load of stuff at home that you haven't.
Yeah. I've I'm at been in the last couple of months. I'm at recording about 5 different studios, and there's some stuff I haven't released. Some of it I do record and say, the quality's.
It's not there yet.
Quality's
not finished.
Not short. Like it's just not. Yeah. It's not ready, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I've loads of songs. I've tons of songs that I do write, you know. But a lot of them, some of the ones that do break out in a sense, might be the ones that I feel are suited best for the time that I'm releasing or putting a song out, you know.
Okay, I want to move on to the venues. So when approaching a venue, how does that actually work? Do you chase them for a slot, or do they chase you, or how does a musician slot himself into? So
I think it depends on the event you're doing, you know. If you're doing a support for a band, it might be the musician that contacts the band, and it's nothing to do with the venue. If you're doing pub gigs or something like that, covers and things like that, the venue might reach out to you, and they're some of them are well paid and things like that. But for original artists, it's the original art. The artist is trying it. The venue, it's very, unless you have something special, the venue are reaching out to you, you know. But you have to kind of have that way of have something there for a venue to come out and say, look, we want to put you in. It's usually promoters. Promoters will invite you in and say, look, we're doing a gig. Promoter might email you and say, look, we have this show on this date. We want you to come in and fill this slot or whatever. And that's the way it can work at times. But mainly in my experience anyway, it's the work from myself, you know, that I've been me contacting places. And only up until the last couple of months, maybe the last year, it's been a case where opportunities are starting to open to me sooner than me approaching them, you know.
Okay. And some of the tickets that generated, does that go to you, or is it split among with the fairly in the venue?
Yeah,
or?
that depends. That depends on what you're doing. Usually the tickets like if you're doing a headline, like if I'm doing my own headline show and I have a promoter, the promoter will the tickets that are sold will be there. It'll be agreed with the promoter and the artist, and you have to pay the venue hire and posters and lighting and all that kind of stuff.
And what about a normal gig?
A normal gig, like a sport
pub gig.
A pub gig. They don't really do tickets, you know. They agree, but I know what you mean. In like if I was doing some band, it's different for everyone. But if a venue like said to me, or a promoter say, I run these sessions in the ABC bar, just for example.
Okay.
Would you come in and do it? Tickets will be $10 each. You might not get anything at all for that. They might say, look, we'll throw you €100 or wherever it is to do it. It's very seldom to do it.
Yeah, because that's actually was the next thing, is that I've heard some bad stories that musicians now, they get asked to work for free just for the exposure. And even though the punter, being myself in the pub, I'm not aware of that at all. I'm actually, in my head, I'm convinced I'm here, that person's getting paid to be here, and then I just enjoy the music, I'm enjoying the social aspect, I'm drinking more, I'm putting more money behind the bar, and I'm, in my head, I'm convinced, sure, like, this place is hopping. So, obviously, the reason why it's hopping is there's no DJ, there's a musician there, and that music, or that money is going to go into that musician's hands. Yeah, no, we can only speak from your experience.
If it did work like that, it'd be great, you know.
But it doesn't.
I was listening to a show recently, just as you say that, and I was listening to a woman. She's the head of IMRO, Eleanor McAvoy, and she was saying she was doing a gig up in this is just an example.
Okay.
She was doing a gig up in Armagh or Antrim or something like that, and it was a small gig. And she said it was about 100 tickets or 200 tickets. I think, if I can remember, this is what it is anyway. And she says there was a guy there from Germany that came over to see her and to see her play live. And he travelled from Germany, and he came up to her. She was doing a meet and greet or a signing at the end, signing the CDs. And he came up and he says, "You should have making this gig. The revenue would have been this amount. We'll say it was 10,000 or 17. Okay. I think it was 17. I might be wrong on figures, but it was definitely not what she was paid for the night anyway. But she said she approached the man back and she said, "How did you make that out?" And he says, "So it's not only what you're paying into the pubs, you're bringing money into the into Ireland. Like you're paying for flights to come over. You're going to be in the town of Antrim or Armagh for that weekend. You're going to spend money here. You're going to spend money there. You're going to go for food. You're going to do this, and you're going to go to the gig and pay for the tickets. The artist will get paid off the tickets. Maybe give the promoter a cut or whatever way they've already agreed. But there's a lot more revenue there that's coming in than what the artist is getting, you know. And there's no real funding for artists, you know.
No.
I on that same thing I was listening to. She was saying that in Canada or something like that, I think there's proper funding and there's a way for it. Like, that's the way we should be going. But with them kind of gigs, you don't. Just going back to what you're saying, that doesn't really happen. Like, even some support gigs you might do, you know. You might not. You might not get at, and you could be travelling anywhere for it, you know. But again, some people believe it's the exposure you're getting. They're giving you an experience. To me, I don't. Like, I just think. If you're worth it, it'll come, you know. But to me, it's just a bonus. I enjoy it for. If you said to me tomorrow, "Look, will you do a show up in Donegal?" You drive up and it'll be in front of 100 people. We won't give you anything. I'd enjoy it. And if you said, "Look, I have €50 at the door or €100, wherever it is," I treat it all as a bonus. You know, I'm in it for the enjoyment of playing music and playing to people sooner than the money of it. But again, original artists aren't. There's no. You can't live on it.
No,
you definitely can't live on it. You know,
yeah.
You wouldn't be able to. Like pubs, like if you go to a pub around the corner here and said, I have an original artist, he'll come in and do a 2-hour slot for you, they're going to say no. They'd say, but if you went in and said, I have this fella that's going to come in with jeans hanging around his shoes and he's going to sing Nathan Carter's greatest hits and wherever it may be, just as an example, they'll probably pay him €200 for that or 180 a night for that, you know, or wherever the pub agrees, you know.
It's just like they think that venues are afraid to take a chance.
I don't know.
Or even say, I'll still play a couple of covers, but I want to can I just play one of my own songs?
Yeah, well, you have to understand, if you go to a bar, you want to hear stuff that, well, if you're listening to the music, you'd enjoy hearing all the hits and things like that. But I think if an artist is good enough, people will listen anyway, you know.
And then, without playing too badly, so one of the questions said, like, do venues actually hold musicians then over a barrel like that? But then I'm sure there's good venues there as well.
Yeah, there's some great venues. But again, it's never really, the venue is just the foundation and the building. Okay. It's the promoter that runs it. Like the venue never, like you wouldn't get someone from, we'll say, the Academy or Vicar Street saying, look, we're putting on a gig. You'd have Aiken Promotions who's putting on the gig. So it's the promoters that are actually run this. And there's some fantastic promoters. There's some, I haven't really come across it. I've come across promoters that don't pay you for gigs, but to me, it's that's normal in my head. You know, I wouldn't expect any more, but you'll get promoters that you hear people that are dealing with promoters and they'll say avoid them, you know. I wouldn't. But again, this is a different kind of world for me, you know, and it's a different world for a lot of people, and it's full of talented people, and no one really knows. Like anyone that's not signed around like that, who knows the rights or wrongs of it? You know, if a venue or a promoter says to you, "Look, we'll do this for you," you don't know whether that's the right or wrong unless you're getting advice from someone that's already been there, you know, which is
experience, really, isn't it?
Experience, yeah.
Well, it's okay, so we stop shitting on venues for a minute. Yeah. So what we'll do is, but you summed it up perfectly. A venue is only a foundation.
Yeah.
It's up to the artist to
exactly. Yeah.
Go for it.
To do it, you know.
We'll move on to the next section, guys. Is that let's talk about your own music now. Your first single and what it meant to you, and why, and how long did it take you to do it? And it was called Almost Anyone.
Yeah. So Almost Anyone was, in my opinion, my first, most inexperienced project that I done. I just stuck it out because to get a song out there. That's all it really was. I was recording up in a studio in a place called ACR Studios, and I was recording a different track at the time, a different song, and we had a break for some reason. I think I don't know what the break was. There was something like your man was mixing it, the song. It was actually Jackknife J, John Behan. He's another lovely guy, really nice chap, and I just came up with the hook off, you know, the Almost Anyone. I was just messing with the guitar, and we ended up saying, during that recording session, I says, no, scrap that song. I don't want to do that song. I'm after coming up with this hook. I said, I'll write in a few minutes. Like, I'll just come up with a couple of lyrics for it. And I just sat there, and I think I wrote it in about 20 minutes, and we recorded it. And that was all. We were meant to be recording a completely different song, but we just fucked that in the bin. And
you happy with it? Knowing that.
Me personally, I love doing it live. It's a great song live. The song itself on the internet, like I feel like I've come on a lot in comparison to what it was. I think I have a lot more experience now, and when I play that song, like when I play that song live, no matter, even if I'm playing in front of a couple of hundred people that never heard it before, you can always get them to sing it back and things like that, which is great. A lot of people seem to like that song for the dance kind of. There's a bit of
there is
off and that and. That was cool, but I think I think I'm more experienced. I will one day, probably soon. I'm gonna re-record that song with a full band and
the way you want it to come across.
It's not far off. But
would you release it live then?
Would I play it live?
No, as in we'll put it up on Spotify and have it live.
Yeah, I'd probably remove the older version and put that one up, you know. I just feel like some of me, I do. Every artist is their own worst critic, we'll say. But
are you hard on yourself?
Not really. At times I can be, you know. If I make a project and I know it's not good, I just won't put it out.
That's fair enough. A lot of artists are like that.
I wouldn't spend too much time kicking myself or putting myself down over something that I didn't do. That's right. That's anyone, no matter what you're doing, you can make mistakes. But that song, when I listen back to it, to how I pronounce some of the words and how how I sang some of the words and things like that, and just different parts. But I'd love to go back to it and do it over and kind of and re-record. But people enjoy it at the minute. Some people might not like it, but again, it doesn't.
So when you actually were going through the final steps of putting it out, did you have nerves about it or kind of excitement and kind of like, here we go, like this is now it? Like,
I think at the time I was nervous putting it out because it was the first proper project, you know. I'd no assistance, not that I needed it in a sense, but I'd no one saying, look, we'll get this onto this or we'll do it. I just kind of stuck it out, and I sent a couple of emails around to radio stations and things like that, and FM 104 picked up on it and 98 FM, and they played it, and I do listen back to that song and say, like, I don't know. Like, I think it's a good song and it's catchy, but I'd be saying, like, when you listen to radio, I think the quality, and again, I could lie and say it's the best song ever, but I'll be honest about it. I don't believe that. I don't think it's better than any of the newer releases that I have. Some people prefer it more because of the rhythm and the speed, and it's a bit faster and dancier and upbeat. But that's kind of that took me off the ground in a sense, you know, not saying that I'm anywhere higher than anybody else, but it took me off the platform that I was on, where I was just starting off. I start kind of getting a little bit small, meeting new people and talking to new people from radios and things like that, and I learned a lot from that song, you know.
Okay, let's have a listen to it now. So this is Almost Anyone by Ciaran Moran.
Someone's life is always taken over by some life whose mind is crossed on over, and all the time someone's over your shoulder. Only sometimes they'll pick you up when you're over. Who'll play the games you didn't play? Who will say the things you didn't say? Who will speak your mind when you're afraid? I know almost anyone will see you on the ground. Almost anyone will kick you when you're down. 'Cause almost anyone will never understand. There'll always be someone with a helping hand. Hurt inside, was it just a feeling? Or in my mind, did I stop believing? Was it fate, or was I only dreaming? 'Cause now is the time to stand up to those people. Life's not always flowers and butterflies, having rainy days and sunny skies. Now it makes sense, funny how we know. Almost anyone will see you on the ground. Almost anyone will kick you when you're down. 'Cause almost anyone will never understand. There'll always be someone with a helping hand.
Boom. That was it. That was Almost Anyone. So let's move on to your next single, was Mother.
Yeah.
Much deeper than Almost Anyone.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that one.
Mother's my favourite song. By a country mile in comparison to a lot of the other ones that I've written. I love performing live. Mother was a song I was reading a newspaper. A lot of people, when I was doing a gig one time, and there was a girl that came up at the end of it and says, she says, "Was that you singing about your ma that was battered by your dad?" She says something like that, you know, really common. And I said, no. I read an article in the newspaper one time. It was about this girl, and I can never remember her name, but she was beat by her partner. And I kind of looked at her and I said, that's fucking, like, that's mad, you know? Like, that's mental. Like, a bloke doing that, you know. I think it's bad enough seeing two girls fight, and it could be the other way around. It could be a girl hitting their partner, whatever way. But yeah, I came up with this kind of thing of mother, just stop your crying for one more day, and it wasn't that at the time. I think it sounded like that the mother was kind of over exaggerating and it's trying to tell her to stop, but it wasn't. It was it's asking your mother to stop for the person that was beating them. So I wrote that song. I just kind of came up with these words that made a lot of sense to what went on. And I think it was a hard one to write. It took me probably about an hour or something, or an hour and a half to write that, you know. And that can, sometimes they say your best songs are the shortest. You might write a song in 10, 15 minutes or whatever, but that one was hard because you're always thinking of word. And I've always went back to that song before releasing it and changed parts in it, because a lot of people tend to think that when you're writing songs that it might be about you, or you might have been beaten by your own partner or whatever it may be. But I just got this idea of it, and when I seen it, I thought it was mental. And I know people that have been in relationships that are beat by their partner, but when someone says, you know, if you're in a conversation with someone and they say, well, this girl was with this fella and he was baiting her, or whatever words they use, and you kind of just think of it, and then after that you change the conversation. For some reason, when I read this story, I said, that's mental, like that's mad, like. And I didn't write the song to try and expose anyone or try and get someone out, like the person that was involved in that story. Nothing to do with that. I just wrote it. It was in me. I read the story, and when I was back songwriting, I thought it just came out. It was strange. The words just came out, and I got the opportunity to go around a couple of different refuge camps in Ireland, and I never heard of refuge camps before that.
Okay.
And when I first got it, I was telling my partner, I was saying to her, I said, I'm after getting these people are at the emailing me, and they said they'd love me to play in this refugee camp up in wherever. What I prefer not to say the place, because they're just, these places are kind of hidden, but it's called Eveness anyway. It's a fantastic organisation they have. So I got the opportunity to go up there and play a couple of songs for the staff there, and I heard some stories at that, and heard some people that went through domestic violence and things like that. And
playing that song like Mother to them.
Oh, it's crazy. It was weird.
Emotional.
But they really it was well received. But it wasn't for that. It was for something that they can relate to, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether people that do go through domestic violence would want to listen to that song again, to go back and go through. But some of them might feel that's what happened in my story, and I can relate to this song because there's so many other people that might go through it. I was doing a gig one time, and I got a message on the Facebook, you know, on the pages, you know, the way you have a band page or whatever. I got a message, and I said I was in the front row and I heard the story, and I recently just got a barren order from my partner. It hit me hard, or something like that, you know. And things like that are what you do it for, you know. Yeah.
It's hard to, when you get comments like that and you're kind of going, I've made that connection with someone. And how does that make you feel when you get a connection? Like, I
don't think anyone else is doing it, you know.
Yeah.
I think if anything, newspapers, and it should be a lot bigger now, you know. It should be a
Does it capture your emotions too? Will you get emotional by it?
Yeah,
someone else gets emotional.
Definitely, yeah.
Like,
when you hear
because you wrote the song not having, like, when I first read it and I listened to the song and I went, oh Jesus, I hope this guy has the same some history, like, because that's normally what artists write upon, is their own history or exposure to this stuff. And I was thinking, how am I going to ask questions to this?
Yeah,
because it's such a deep song.
A lot of people say, but the thing is, one thing I've always said is, a lot of people don't want to know about what I'm doing or what goes on in my life. No one really gives, and that's what a lot of people, and that's why I'd write songs that can relate to them. It might not have to necessarily happen to me. The songs that I have wrote that would relate to me and things like that, but there's very few. I usually write songs for things that I know is going on and that people can listen to and say, do you know what, I went through that, and if he wrote that, I'm not the only one that went through it. So like, it's okay in a sense, you know. Not that it's ever okay for domestic violence, but I mean, they can relate to it. But I've just gone back to that. I heard I read that thing in the paper and I wrote the song, and that was good, and I enjoyed that. But I heard stories in these camps that if you were told them, you'd say that's
not true.
He's acting the bollocks. He's messing. That can't be real. But these people were. It was true.
They went through.
There was it was just different. But the thing is, going back to Evenus, they are an incredible they're an incredible organisation that kind of they bring people into these refuge places and in a hidden location and let them kind of distance themselves from the partners, and they give them support, and the work they do. Evenus, they're phenomenal.
Make sure to check them out, guys. Evenus, do you know the best way to get in contact with them? The website or Instagram?
Yeah, they're on the internet. Like if you Google them or I'll probably put a link up.
Be sure to check them out.
But they're just outside of for people contacting, just and not blowing smoke up their arses or anything like that. What they do is a rewarding job that they probably aren't being rewarded for. They do fantastic work, and the people they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis are great people, and I'd say it's more rewarding inside than what it is for other people to say. But they don't get enough exposure to these places, and they're dealing with hard work. You think it's hard working on a building site at 6 a.m. down in Mayo and the lashings of rain. Try deal with someone that's at the going through something like that, and try support them and bring their kids up and help them support their kids. That's a different story then.
Excellent. Well, not excellent stuff. We wish they shouldn't be having to be there.
I know.
But wow. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll play Mother now, guys. So here we go.
He would hold you by the hand in front of everyone. He'd make you say there was nothing going on. He would beat you up and down when there was nobody to help you from his ground when you were down. He would say, go get your father or your brother. By the time they came, he was nowhere to be found. How dare you put your hands on my mother? You're a man and no man's land. Mother, just stop you crying for one more day. I'll say my prayers and it'll go away. Mother, just stop you crying for one more day. I'll say my prayers and it'll go away. He would make you hide a scar with your makeup. As the tears would fall, we would see you start to bruise. As he hit you in the arms to make you wake up, inside his mind was more than confused. He would run out of our garden and call the neighbors. You'd see the curtains close before he's done. He made statements like he told all of the papers he done nothing wrong and you were number one. Mother, just stop you crying for one more day. I'll say my prayers and it'll go away. Mother, just stop you crying for one more day. I'll say my prayers and it'll go away. I'll say my prayers and it'll go away. Oh, mother, just stop your crying for one more day.
And we're back. That was Mother by Ciaran Moran. So, Ciaran, take me back then to March to September. Did you spend that time, your next single was released called Follow Your Soul. Did you spend that time writing that music? Or were you just gigging away and writing in the background?
Within that time, I would have been, I was busy. Within the last 2 years, I was busy. I had a lot of dates with different bands and that around Ireland. And a lot, I kind of took my focus off the writing to start gigging and kind of learning how to do this for myself, you know, and start performing and going again, you know. But yeah, I Follow Your Soul was a song that's another one they're probably all fucking sad songs, but that song
Not
was it.
really.
That one was that was different, and I know we talked earlier about what you when you had listened to it might have been it was different. That song was written. I used to have a neighbour that I lived beside when in town, and he basically he was an addict, a drug addict, you know. Lovely fella. He lent me guitars and things like that to do gigs years ago. But I always, when I moved out of the north inner city, I always wondered what ever happened to him. And this story just came in my head. Like I don't know if he passed away. I don't know if he's still going. I'm not sure. But I had assumed on the life that he was living that there's a good chance he might have taken some wrong road or some route that might not have been right, whether he's homeless or whatever it may be. So the song was that song's really a question. Did you follow your soul? Like, did you follow the habits that you had, and did you go, or did you follow a ghost, someone that was there before you, or someone that might have been leading you on the right track, whether you were there or not, you know? So it was the story of his mother asking the question in the verses. So it was,
right.
How are you now? I'm wondering if you're sleeping or if you're even breathing, you know? It was that question of, I wonder what he's doing, you know? And I haven't seen him in maybe 4 or 5 years, but I just wrote that song on that basis, you know, and came up with some more words. And sometimes with songwriting, it's very hard to, when you're writing a song like about real life and things like that, or what's going on, it's hard to tell a lie in it or to exaggerate, you know. But some songs you have to kind of some songs can be a little bit, like, sometimes you have to, if you're writing a song like that, we'll say, like Follow Your Soul, there was parts that I didn't know about him, that I wouldn't have known, that I had to kind of put in, that I'd imagine would happen, that or that I thought might have happened to him. So there's parts in it where when your little one cries, she shouts and roars to see if daddy's going to come, and I can't remember the exact the second verse on it when I'm speaking it out, but that was, I imagined, I wonder, does he have a daughter now, and does she is he homeless? And it was just literally a thing in my head, thinking, I wonder what happened to him, you know. And then the song is made out to be his mother questioning that, you know.
That's obviously bizarre.
Yeah,
because I interpret it like I found a song to challenge me to go after my own goals in life. Yeah, that I've set myself.
Different
and to
people
follow
have
my
different,
own.
and that's the best thing of it.
It's the beauty of it.
Yeah, I remember Chris Dignam was saying one time, he was doing a gig and he says, this song everyone thinks is about this, but it's not actually about what they think it's about. It's actually written about this. But that's the beauty of it, because that's what you want. If you feel that can relate to you in that way, well, that's great, because for you that'll drive you in some way. If someone else wants to listen to it on a personal level or listen to it, it's unbelievable. That's what songwriting does. It gives different airs, different.
Do you get a buzz or high off that, or kind of like?
Now that you said it to me, yeah. I think I do always imagine my songs are written and not well, but I think they're well explained. They're kind of storylines, so they're kind of, the point is already clear. But it's unbelievable to hear that someone else can think something different of it. That makes
have
me
a different view of it.
Yeah. Excellent. And that's unbelievable, and that's great, you know.
After I could not have picked that up after listening to it, but I actually quite enjoyed these 3 singles because they were all very different.
Thank you.
Guys, this is Follow Your Soul.
How are you now? 'Cause I'm wondering if you're sleeping or if you're even breathing. Have you figured out why you planned on leaving? I never knew just how you were feeling. When I walk down the road and it's cold outside, there's another helpless soul, teary eyes, and I realize and I know that you're there after all you done, even though sometimes I was in the wrong. You're gone. Did you follow your soul and follow your leader and do what you dreamed of? Or did you follow your goals? I know you're looking down on all those who are around you, all those who you want to. No, it's not my choice. I can't tell you what to do, because you left us all too soon. When your little one cries, she shouts and roars to say that he's gonna come with your toys, but she knows. And she sits here waiting for the doorbell ring, waiting for you to come walking in, but she knows. Did you follow your soul? Follow your leader and do what you dreamed of? Or did you follow your goals? Did you follow your soul? Or did you follow your goals?
Ciaran, we're back to the next stage of your music was I haven't even started yet.
Yeah.
And you compile. So guys, we're not going to actually play these three songs, but you need to get on and have a listen to Prisoner, I Won't Give Up, and then Audrey.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about Prisoner.
Prisoners, it's kind of one of those self-explained songs, story of a prisoner. And what trying to put my mind into his mind and what he's thinking while he's in prison, and it was just the questions he'd ask people and what happened. So Prisoner. Audrey was actually a dream that me late granny, or me nanny should I say, she used to hate me saying that, granny, but Audrey was, I mean, my nanny was in hospital, and she had dementia. She told me this story about this girl called that's probably one song that word for word that was told to me. There's not much of my own input in that. That was it. My nanny told me she had a dream about this lady that she'd never seen before. She'd long hair, she had pale skin, and I just kind of duplicated the lyrics into the song. and the chorus, I keep on dreaming, and I don't know what's wrong. I feel like you're hiding things. That was when she was in hospital. She was saying, like, I keep having these weird dreams, and because she had the dementia, obviously the family were talking outside of the hospital and things like that, and talking about what we do here and things like that. And that the production on that song was done by a great bunch of lads as well, and all the EP from Birdfire Studios. And we kind of I went in with the guitar. That was a completely different route I took with music, you know. For the three of them songs, they were stylistic wise, they were completely different to what I was used to, you know. So we tried it out. Me personally, I think there's good songs on it. Mother and Follow Your Soul was also on that, but on the EP in full. But it didn't really, they didn't boost or they didn't do some people would call it a word of flop in a sense, and in my opinion, I think I rushed them and just threw them out, and I never promoted them properly.
We're still learning your craft, aren't you?
Yeah, no. I'm not looking back and saying it was something I regret. I'm delighted I done it, and it's completely different twist. And I actually do really enjoy those songs, and a lot of other people do also. But I could have. I wrote them songs and I put them out as fast as I could just to get an EP out, to say I have an EP out, and that's something I learned from. After that, there was no rushing, or there's never a rush now, you know.
Okay.
And nothing actually went bad with that song. I got some radio play, I got some media wrote about it, papers. I got a couple of articles written about it, but just it didn't meet my expectation of what I wanted it to me. And again, I don't regret it. I'm happy with the project I done. It was creative. I learned a lot from it, and move on from that. You know, I did.
So as you progress to writing music, does it become easier or harder?
I think it becomes harder. I think it becomes harder because I think people. It's hard to. It depends what you're writing about. Like if you have a way of writing, you can run out of ideas. But in the world we're living in today, with the kind of stuff that I'm writing, I'll never run out of ideas. I don't believe. I think there's too much going on. We're in a crazy environment at the minute in Ireland. It's a messy situation in some ways. In some ways it's good. And with your family and things like that, you'll always be able to write songs about stories you heard and things like that. But I think if you have a certain way of writing, if you approach songs the same way, you do the spider bubble, you know, the drawing a circle, writing a word in the middle and coming up with ideas out of it and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of people that write songs like that. Christy Moore told me he wrote his songs like that originally. And I think if you do that, I think you can only do so much of that, you know. So it becomes harder. You lose ideas. You're at the writing. Like if I want to write a song about something, I have to think, did I ever write it before? You know. So I'm not duplicating it. And sometimes if I'm doing a set, I do be explaining some of the songs before I'd sing them. And only after them I'd be realising, shit, them two songs I'm at the saying are basically about the same thing with different words, you know. They're very similar. Like,
does that catch up on you, or?
I don't know. I don't, and that's like Almost Anyone would be one, and Falling Down. The two of them are they're similar. They're about kind of people putting you down, and yeah, they're similar. So I try to keep them as separate as I can in the set. So when I'm explaining them, people are forgetting about at the start what the one is at the end, you know.
So what we'll do is the platforms you're on, iTunes.
Yeah, so I'm on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, if that still exists. I don't know.
And SoundCloud.
SoundCloud, yeah, I have some projects on SoundCloud, but mainly Spotify. I don't really use Spotify that much. Like, I don't promote Spotify a lot. I usually do go with the videos and YouTube and things. Everything's on YouTube.
So your channel is Ciaran Moran Music.
Yeah, and Instagram and Facebook and anything like that. You'll find me somewhere. You know, you'll see me along the way.
So be sure to check him out. Yeah. That's great. So what we'll do is your most recent post on Instagram, you said there's more in Ireland to Lewis Capaldi, Niall Horan, and the Justin Biebers. So, which is true, but tell me what message you'd love to send out to people about what's going on in this country, and are we too focused on looking out and not promoting within?
I think like there's nothing with that post that was only I was expecting someone to write back and say there's nothing wrong with Lewis Capaldi or Niall Horan from Mullingar or wherever he's from, and
but it's not that Niall Moran is the problem. It's just the music that it's out there. It's been heard.
Yeah, they're huge, you know, and it's like when people hear these kind of artists, they kind of attach themselves to. I think for anyone that is looking to expand, like, what have you got to lose? You only have to ask yourself that, you know. Might be you'll pay a lot less if it's money you're concerned about. You'll pay a lot less to see Irish band, and exclude my music. And I'm not saying it's great or it's good or whatever or indifferent. I'm just saying exclude me out of the equation. If you go to some of the bars in Ireland where there's phenomenal
amount of talent.
Like, it's phenomenal. And you're going to pay a lot less if money's what you're concerned about. If it's your time, a lot of gigs are the weekends. Go out and try it out. And if you try it out, if you're wrong, you don't have to do it again. If you don't enjoy, you don't have to do it again. Or if you do enjoy, you can see other bands and things like that. But the question I ask is, what have you got to lose? Like, someone might say to me, would you come into doing a gig in town? Will you come in and have a listen, or would you drop into the gig? And I do automatically think to myself, it's an hour out me, or 2 hours out of my day. It'll probably cost me a €10 or 20 or whatever it is. I don't really care. It's supporting someone, you know. And I'm giving them a little bit of support. I'm an extra body in the building. I'm an extra person there. I'm an extra person in their crowd. And I've lost nothing from it. Unless I'm the busiest person in the world and I can't take an hour or 2 hours out of my day, well and good. I have an excuse for that, but people work, and that's understandable, and people do have hobbies and play sports and do whatever they do. But if you have time, 2 hours of your time to go in and see Ariana Grande or Lewis Capaldi or whoever it is, you should have 2 hours of your time to see someone in Ireland.
Give the Irish a chance.
Yeah. And again, there's nothing wrong with these big artists, but there's a lot of talent here that, in fact, I believe is better or on the same level comparison wise.
Anyone you want to shout out to that people can check out also?
I think the Irish music speaks for itself. The ones that are known at the minute, there's a lot of them out there. But I think David Keenan would be a big one that's well known at the minute. He's had to be in touring with Hosier and things like that. Some Irish hip hop artists, Paro Pablo, he's a fantastic songwriter, and an artist, Jambo Costello, all the likings of them and the hip hop scene. And then the folk, I know, there's a couple of bands and things. Again, I don't really focus too much on the other music, so I don't actually. I used to, if you asked me this 4 years ago, I could tell you who's doing what gig and who's doing it where, you know, and who's promoting and things. I don't really watch a lot of it, but the ones that I do notice the odd time when I'm gigging around the country or gigging around, and obviously the likings of your Aslans and Damien Dempsey's and Declan O'Rourke's and things like that, and Paddy Cases and whoever, maybe Brian Kennedy as well. He's a lovely guy. All of these are.
Well, be sure to check these guys out.
Definitely by far, and it might be. In fact, it might be a better night than what you'll have in a 3 arena with 8 or 15, wherever the capacity is. People
when you're sitting in row Z,
when you're sitting in row B in the stables in Mullingar, there's nothing better, you know. You'll be able to see them. You're nearly sitting on the guitar case when you're when you're at them close intimate gigs, you know. But
excellent. So, big news you have on the way. Are you allowed to tell me more about it?
Yeah. So I have a new single coming out, Falling Down, on the 28th of March. And I've my biggest headline show to date in Bloody Mary's in Dublin on the 24th of April. Tickets are out already for that. It's halfway sold out, just over halfway to a sellout, you know. The last one I done was a bit smaller, so we went a good bit bigger for this one, you know. And it'll be hard to do, but I things are going well at the minute. We only announced it about 3 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago. So
another month ish.
About a month and what are we today?
Yeah,
about another month or so, and
stuff.
we should be good. It'll be great. It's, as I said last night on the on that Instagram post, it's not just gonna be these shows aren't just a night out or whatever, and they are, although they are a night out and it's a night to enjoy yourself. It's kind of the beginning of something special, you know. It's the beginning of something that's gonna one day hopefully go on to bigger and better things, and you can say, look, well, we went to this night in this place, and I can assure you, you'll enjoy it in comparison to the last one. Anyway, you'll probably come in and say, "I want my money back" at the end of it. But if they do, they're not getting it back. No, if with this gig, like just working off the last one, that was special, you know. And this one's bigger.
You came away from the last one thinking we can do.
Oh
we can
yeah,
do more,
yeah. I'm working with a great band, Arcada, some great support acts on the night, and I'm working with St. Jack Records, the promoter for this one. Different promoter and different kind of way we're going with it. So yeah, and it's the new songs and things like that, and the single is going to be great too. I'm going up to Belfast now next Saturday to record a video for that with a great videographer and director. And
the Game of Thrones is it?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it's
the gear left over there.
I think he was saying something about some guy was in it from one of some big film before, and some fella playing a role in it or whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna be going up there. I never watched that Game of Thrones, so I never seen it, but I'm not sure whether it's all dragons or fucking vampires or whatever it is, but I'm not into that stuff. But yeah, I'm doing that, and that'll be out around the time of the single as well. This is this song, the Falling Down song was recorded and produced and mixed and mastered by Aidan Cunningham, who is a top engineer and producer in Ireland. He's worked with the likes of Maverick Sabre and Overhead, the Albatross, and lots of different people. So it's another different direction we're taking for the song, so for the next release. So yeah, excellent stuff. We'll do is Ciaran, we'll wrap it up, but just tell people how to get in contact with you again. So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and or you can get me on any of those social media sites, Twitter and all that, you know. You're on everything. Everything, yeah. So Facebook's just down the username. Ciaran Moran Music, yeah. Instagram, same. Ciaran Moran Music and Twitter, and there's emails and things like that for I have. If you for gigs or contact or whatever, it's all there, you know. But it won't be easy to find me. You'll find me somewhere floating around Dublin anyway one of the days. Probably get me in Tesco or something one of the nights in one of the aisles, you know. And just start downloading information off you by then. Yeah. Brilliant. Ciaran, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm a huge fan. I wish you all the success. Thank you. And we'll chat soon. Thanks very much. Guys, thanks for listening. That's been Getting Amongst It. Talk to you later.